Hello again. This tutorial is for the star fan puff stitch. It's quite a simple but effective stitch to work. I'm today using double knit yarn and a 5mm hook. If you want to do it in a thicker yarn, you would need to go up in hook size. If you want it to come down to possibly a 4-ply, you would need to come down to a smaller size of hook. We start off with a chain. Obviously, if you're going to do something wider than the swatch that I'm going to work today, you would need to chain more stitches and then pause the video or rewind it to go back to the start to carry on the stitch repeat. I'm only going to make a sample size swatch, so my starting chain will be 24. So as always, I'm going to start with a slip knot onto the hook, and then I'll chain 24 stitches. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is in multiples of 6. Sorry, I did forget to say that. So obviously, if you want a wider project, you would chain as many as you want for the width, as long as it's in multiples of 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 and 24. So we start by chaining 1, and into that same stitch we're going to work a single crochet. We then chain 2, and we're going to skip the next 2 chains, and we're going to work 1 double, 1 chain and 1 double into the next stitch. So we skip 2 and then one double, 1 chain and a double into that same stitch. Chain 2, we're going to skip the next 2 chains and single crochet into the next one. We're going to do exactly the same all the way along. So chain 2, skip 2, and then we're going to do 1 double, 1 chain and 1 double into that same stitch, followed by 2 chain, skipping 2 chains and a single into the next chain. We've now got 2 pattern repeats there. Chain 2, skip 2 stitches, and into the 3rd stitch we're going to do 1 double, 1 chain, 1 double, followed by 2 chain, skip 2 chains and single into the next. Chain 2, skip 2 and work 1 double, 1 chain, 1 double into the next stitch. We're then going to work 1 single into the very last chain. So ready for row 2. In row 2 we're going to work 3 chain. That's going to count as the first stitch. Now we're going to work a front post puff stitch into this double crochet from the previous row. So to do it as a front post, we're going to yarn over and make sure that you keep the stitches quite loose to form the puff stitch. So yarn over, behind the stitch, pick up a loop once, yarn over, behind the stitch, pick up a loop twice, yarn over, behind the stitch, pick up a loop 3 times. We've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 7 loops on the hook. We're going to yarn over and come through 6, and then yarn over and through the 2. That's going to fasten off the puff stitch. We're now going to work into the 1 chain space that was between the 2 doubles. We're going to work 3 doubles, 1, 2 and 3, chain 1, and we work another 3 doubles into that same space. So there we've got 1, 2 and 3. So we've now done the puff stitch, the 3 doubles, chain 1, 3 doubles. We're now going to do a front post puff stitch into this double from the previous row. So again, yarn over, behind the stitch, pick up a loop and pull up, yarn over, behind the stitch, pick up a loop, pull up, yarn over, behind the stitch, pick up a loop, pull up, pull through 6, leaving 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and through those 2. We now skip the singles and the 2 chains either side from the previous row. We're going to go straight into a front post puff stitch, a front post puff stitch around this double here. So yarn over, behind the stitch, pick up a loop once, yarn over, behind the stitch, pick up a loop twice, yarn over, behind the stitch, pick up a loop 3 times, yarn over, through 6, yarn over, through 2. We're now going to do the 3 doubles, 1 chain and 3 doubles into the next 1 chain space here. So there's 1, 2 and 3. Chain 1 and work another 3 doubles into that same 1 chain space. We're now going to do a front post as we did in this first pattern repeat into this double from the row below. So yarn over, pick up a loop, pull up, yarn over, pick up a loop, pull up, yarn over, pick up a loop, pull up, yarn over through the 6, yarn over through 2. We skip the 2 chain, 1 single, 2 chain, and we're going to work a front post puff stitch around this double. So exactly the same as before. And there's 3, yarn over through 6, yarn over through 2. The next stitch is into this 1 chain space from the previous row. We're going to work 3 doubles, chain 1 and another 3 doubles. And again we're going to work a front post puff stitch into this double here. So yarn over behind the stitch, pick up 1, 2 and 3, yarn through 6, yarn over through 2. We've now got 3 of the pattern repeats. We skip the 2 chains, the single and the 2 chains, and we work the next front post puff stitch around the next double. Again, we do 3 doubles, 1 chain and 3 doubles into the 1 chain space. There's 1, 2 and 3, chain 1 and work 3 more doubles. And we're going to work the final front post puff stitch around this double here. So there we've got 1, 2, 3, yarn over through the 6, yarn over and through the 2. If you've got more multiples of the 6 stitches, at this point you will pause the video and carry on until you get to the end. In the very last stitch we're going to work 1 double crochet. So there we've got row 1 and row 2. Row 3, turn over the work. We're going to work 4 chain to start. This counts as a double and a chain, and we're going to work a double into that same stitch. We then chain 2 and into the 1 chain in the middle of the fan we do a single crochet. Work 2 chain, and into the space between the 2 fans we're going to work 1 double, 1 chain and 1 double. 2 chain, and again we're going to skip across to the middle of the fan and single crochet, chain 2 and work in between the 2 fans 1 double, 1 chain and a double, chain 2 and into the 1 chain space in the middle of the fan work 1 single, chain 2 and again the double, chain 1 and double in between the 2 fans, chain 2, single crochet into the chain space, chain 2 and into the last stitch we're going to work 1 double, 1 chain and 1 double. So the work will look like this. Row 4 is the same principle, but it's slightly different on this one. So we're going to work 3 chain and 3 doubles into the 1 chain space. So here we've only got half of the fan. We then, into the second double from the previous row, we're going to work the front post puff stitch. So 1, 2 and 3, yarn over through the 6, yarn over through the 2. We then completely skip the 2 chains, the single and the 2 chains. We're going to work a front post puff stitch into the next double. So there's 1, 2 and 3, and then into the 1 chain space between the 2 doubles from the previous row, we're going to work a fan, which is 3 doubles, 1 chain and 3 doubles. We then do a second front post puff stitch into this double here. So there we've got 1, 2 and 3. And then again we're going to skip the 2 chains, the single and the 2 chains, and we're going to work a front post puff into this double here. So yarn over behind the stitch, pick up 1, pick up 2, pick up 3, and then back to the fan in the 1 chain space between the 2 doubles. So there's 1, 2, 3, chain 1, 1, 2 and 3, and then a front post puff around this next double. 1, 2 and 3. Skip the 2 chain, single and 2 chain, and we do the next front post puff stitch into this double here. There's 1, 2 and 3. We then work a fan into the 1 chain space. Chain 1 and 3 doubles. We work the next front post puff stitch around this next double crochet. So there's 1, 2 and 3. Skip the 2 chain and the single and the 2 chain. We're going to do the final front post puff onto this double here. So yarn over, yarn over, pick up a loop once, yarn over, pick up the loop twice, yarn over, pick up the loop 3 times, through the 6, through the 2. We're then into the 1 chain space going to work 3 doubles, which is half a fan. And then the final stitch is into the third chain of the starting stitch we're going to work 1 double. So there we've got the repeat of the pattern, and from this row we're going to go back to row 1. I will go through row 1 and 2 again with you now. So row 1 was 1 chain and a single into the same stitch. We're going to chain 2, we skip into the space between the half fan and the full fan, and we're going to work 1 double, 1 chain, 1 double, chain 2, skip along to the chain between the two sets of 3 in the middle of the fan, and we work a single, chain 2, and again we're going to do the double, chain 1 and double, chain 2, single into the 1 chain space in the middle of the fan, chain 2 and a double, 1 chain and a double in between the 2 fans. We just carry on all the way along this row in exactly the same way. When you get to the very end, your last stitch will be a mirror of this start, where we do 2 chain and then a single into the top of the first stitch. So there's the single crochet. So we're back onto row 2, where we'll do 3 chain, and then we start again with the front post